going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. And always rate that show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. We are live on a Thursday night to break down the running backs. We're going to talk actually about every single running back that's on this roster, including Ian Wheeler, someone that I'm really excited to talk about, the undrafted rookie out of Howard. And also, if you haven't already, actually probably didn't know this was out yet, our roster profiles are now officially here. So down in the description, you can see our PDF. It's all completely free. Please just share it with a friend. Let people know about the Unbearable Sports Podcast because we have so many. I think it's easily over 50 pages breaking down all the different people on this roster and just some interesting stats about everyone, interesting storylines, questions, all the graphics that I use on this show kind of out there for you for free as a free resource for you to have. So feel free to download that. So today, we're breaking down the running backs like we said, and as we always do, we'll break down the departures, the depth chart, the player breakdown, so we go into depth about every single person, also the over-unders, and last but not least, did we get better? We've already gone through the safeties, the tight ends, and now we're down to the running backs. So let's get started with talking about the departures. And actually, before we even go in there, I want to talk about the David Bakhtiari rumor and all the other rumors about the Bears being the number one team to sign seemingly every single free agent. Now, it raises your ears a little bit, and it's something to at least think about. So why would the Bears want to sign David Bakhtiari? And for those that haven't heard, the Bears are the favorites to sign David Bakhtiari, the former left tackle from the Green Bay Packers. To me, I'm not really too into that just because David Bakhtiari is injury prone, and it's something that unless he is truly fully healthy and he wants to play left guard, then I'd be up for it. But besides him being left tackle, I don't know. It just doesn't really seem like a good fit if he wanted to come in and play that left tackle. And also, if he goes to the guard spot, our guards have already been a little bit injury prone already. So that's where it doesn't make too much sense. But if the Braxton Jones neck injury is more serious than we expected, then yeah, then I'm more than fine bringing in extra players to be out there. Or if he wants to be a swing tackle, more than fine with that if they think that Karan Amagaji's quad injury is maybe a little bit more serious than previously expected. So with that, let's get into the running back, shall we? So let's first talk about our departures. And the biggest departure that we had was Diont Foreman. Diont Foreman averaged 3.9 yards a carry last season, and what was good. He's always been Diont Foreman everywhere that he goes. He's just a good, solid running back for your team. Nothing more, nothing less, just solid. So ultimately, Foreman is the biggest loss that we had last season. But when we look at our 23-24 depth chart, you look at that, Kahlil Herbert was our starter, Kari Blasingame starting fullback. But at this time, too, I'd like to take the roster from at this point in time, a year ago in July, what did this team look like? And if you look at the running backs, we had Diont Foreman as the backup, Roshan Johnson as third string, Travis Homer as fourth string, and for those that were with us last year, good old Cement Shoes was number 5 on this team. That was Treston Ebner, and like I said, the guy just couldn't play football. So Treston Ebner, unfortunately, he just played with Cement Shoes. He had those heavy feet that we always talked about, didn't ultimately make the roster. And something that I really wanted to call out was Jake Tonjes and Robert Burns, 2 players that, okay, we were kind of like, okay, is Robert Burns going to be something? Is Jake Tonjes going to be someone that is still on the roster? He's gone. Burns is gone. And now we're left with no fullback. And what we were talking about on the tight ends, we're not going to preview the fullbacks because we already talked about Kari Blasingame with the tight end spot. But still, it brings up the question, would we actually need a fullback on this team? So let's go over to now our new roster breakdown. Now, when we go to the 24-25 roster, now what we see with the running backs, now our backup fullbacks, Tommy Sweeney, Brendan Bates, right? I just threw those guys out there. But really, the tight end position, the fullback position really isn't a thing. But now our running backs, DeAndre Swift as the starter, Kahlil Herbert as the backup, Roshan Johnson still as third string. But at least kind of stayed put, right? So now Herbert's number 2, Travis Homer number 4, and Ian Wheeler number 5. So 5 total running backs on this roster, and obviously someone eventually has to go, or maybe go onto the practice squad, which we'll talk a little bit more about. So now, let's start breaking down some of these players, and let's start with the big name free agent, DeAndre Swift, running back out of Georgia, going into his 5th season, which to me, it feels like DeAndre Swift's been around for quite some time. He's 25 years old, 5'9", 215, so a little bit shorter than I think a lot of other people expect. Last year, 1,049 rushing yards with the Eagles, 4.6 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns, 214 receiving yards, and had a PFF grade of 66.5, which was the 45th best among all running backs. Also has a cap hit this year of $5.83 million and signed a 3-year, $24 million contract with the Bears this free agency. Now, what I could tell you, when we signed him, to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan just because I'm not a big fan of paying running backs. And also, DeAndre Swift, my biggest question with him is how productive will he be when he's behind the Bears line and not behind the Eagles line, not behind the Lions line. He's always been behind one of the best offensive lines in all of football. That's my biggest critique. And also, too, 9 fumbles in 4 seasons of play as well. So, you're getting around that 2 or more fumbles a season. And also last season was his first ever 1,000 yard season in his 4-year career. So you did see that, hey, he had the best season. He's been injured a little bit, but he is a good all-around back. All that to say, he can catch out of the backfield, even though he dropped the game winner against the Bears week 1, 2 or 3 years ago? Although, maybe 3 years ago now, but although that he did that, he's still a good player, still a solid player. But the big question is, did you have to pay that much for someone who can kind of do it all? And also another question, how much is he going to be getting at the running back position when you have a Kahlil Herbert, when you have a Roshan Johnson? To me, I see DeAndre Swift being more of that every down type of a back that a lot of people can expect. So DeAndre Swift, to me, is going to be the running back in this system for sure. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Are you hyped about DeAndre Swift? Are you not so much? Let me know. But let's go over to the next player, which I think that is a big question. A big storyline going into this is Kahlil Herbert, running back out of Virginia Tech, going into his 4th season and the last season of his rookie deal. 5'9", 215, so similar size, 26 years old, so actually a year older. And making $1 million this year from a cap hit perspective. And last season, 611 rushing yards, 4.6 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, 134 receiving yards, and also had a PFF grade of 77.9, which was 14th best. And really with Kahlil Herbert, when you look at the advanced stats, the advanced metrics, he has always been one of the most efficient runners in the NFL. Now, when he gets banged up, when he gets injured, it does kind of throw him off a little bit. You do see this year after year. When he gets banged up, he kind of loses that step. His speed and just the ability to just run by people is just phenomenal. And the reason why he's one of the most efficient runners is he doesn't dance in the backfield. He's just a no-nonsense, no BS type of a runner. And that's something that I really do like about Kahlil Herbert and really respect, because we had David Montgomery who would always dance, and then Kahlil Herbert's like, here's the hole, just run. That's what makes him so successful. But also, something that I think a lot of people are overlooking is his value as a kick returner. Because we don't know if Velus is going to make this team, right? Kahlil Herbert has been one of the better kick returners. Now, he hasn't been returning them to the house, but he consistently has always in the top for yardage from a kick return perspective. So Kahlil Herbert can do that. And with the new kick return rules, you probably want to have him and Velus back there anyways. And I think a lot of people are overlooking that, and they just look at the running back position and go, he's being traded. He's for sure being traded, because why would we keep another running back on this team? Now, also, we all know this, and we have to bring this up as well. His issues with pass blocking. He's continuously struggled with that. And to me, that's a big reason. It's, as weird as it sounds, that's one of the biggest reasons why you can't rely on him as an every down back, because he's a better than average runner behind the line of scrimmage. Like we said, one of the most efficient running backs, that being a running back. And he has been able to catch the ball. He's not this crazy receiver by any means, but he can catch the little flats out the backfield. But man, when he pass blocks, it is terrible. He doesn't really pass block. He just is kind of there. And it's so unfortunate, because it's just one little piece of his game that he really does need to get honed in. So the big question, will he be traded, or is he in the long-term plans? Two different things to think about. And for me, I don't think he gets traded unless there's some crazy package that somebody throws together. Whether, a fourth-round pick, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Third, you do it in a heartbeat. But Kahlil Herbert, that's where, okay, maybe a fourth or something like that. But I'm not looking to trade him, because I do think that there's value with him being on this team with that kick return rule. And is he in the long-term plans? I don't really see it, just because of him not being able to be in the pass blocking, and also just with the new regime, and also you have Roshan Johnson too. So that's where I think Kahlil Herbert, maybe not so much. But hey, if somebody wants to trade for him, like I said, for a fourth, I'll be all for it. But I really do hope that he stays, just because I do enjoy him. Seems like a lot of people in the locker room also enjoy him. So I'm going to enjoy the ride for this probably last season of him. So now let's go over to the third string running back that I know that a lot of us love, myself included, and that's Roshan Johnson. And last year at this time, we're pounding the table for Roshan Johnson, talking about, hey, this guy's going to be good. But also, we are pumping the brakes a little bit on Roshan Johnson to say, hey, this guy's not going to be the starter. He's going to be the backup, and he was. 352 rushing yards last season, 4.3 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, and 209 receiving yards. You can see those receiving yards, and it kind of tells the story. How he has pretty close, it's fairly close with receiving yards and rushing yards, and 65.8 PFF grade, which is 48th best. Roshan Johnson, very good on those third downs. Good pass blocker, as we know, literally one of the best pass blockers in the NFL, and he's a rookie. He's going into his second season now, but Roshan Johnson, good pass blocker, good receiver out of the backfield, cap hit of $1.1 million, and this is where he's just such a valuable player. As an every down back, you do need to just see, okay, he's a power back, so he's not going to get those huge chunk gains. He's just going to be trying to bust down the offense, bust down the defense as much as he can. So Roshan Johnson, my question is, can he be that number 2 running back? Because Kahlil Herbert, you like what you see out of him as a running back yet again. Roshan Johnson, with his upside as a third down player, now does he truly become that second running back? And then Kahlil Herbert is more of a kick returner, or if Swift goes down, then he kind of becomes the number 1, and then Roschon is still kind of that permanent number 2. Personally, I think it's going to be more like that. I think that Kahlil Herbert, phenomenal runner, but I still think Roschon is going to be that true third down back for the Chicago Bears, even though that DeAndre Swift can technically do it all. But we'll see. Also, Outspoken Inc. saying Johnson will have a breakout year. I'd love to see that. I would truly love to see that. But also, I haven't seen his breakaway speed too much, but he has a pretty good 40 time, if my memory serves me correct, with what he did in the combine. So overall, Roshan Johnson, excited to see him out there. And I'm also, too, I hope everyone got some training camp tickets, too, because I have some camp tickets. I'm going to be going. I'm going to be watching the Bears. And my gosh, it's tough. It was tough to find those. And all I got to say, too, do not buy the tickets from the bots. The people that are just scalping them, that are selling them for a profit. Even if you want to go, even if you want to be there, it's best not to pay for them because you're just encouraging people to just get and just ultimately sell these free tickets. So just want to kind of throw that out there as well. And hopefully the Bears can just figure something out. My personal take, they should put a dollar amount. They should actually sell them. You should sell them. And then once you are able to redeem them, then you get your money back. And something like that where you have to redeem them in order to get something back, in order to have that, or a penalty if you're not able to actually redeem them. Something along those lines. So the people that just get these free tickets and sell them, yeah, if that's your livelihood and if that's how you want to make a couple extra $100 by depriving fans of tickets, I mean, do you? Just I don't approve. So let's move on to the next running backs out there. So Travis Homer. Travis Homer is the fourth running back on the depth chart. Running back out of Miami, sixth season, only 25. Did anyone else know this? Travis Homer is 25 years old. I had to double check it. I'm like, what? So Travis Homer, 5'11", 202, making $2 million as a cap hit in his final year of his 2-year deal that he signed last season, but also knows Shane Waldron, has that Shane Waldron connection. And as we kind of previewed last season, he's a good straight line threat, but ultimately he's not going to be running the football. You have too many good players. 0 rushing yards, 0 yards per carry, 0 touchdowns, 0 receiving yards. Did not do anything. This guy is not here to be a running back. This guy's here to be a special teamer, and that's it. And I think that's the weird piece of this. Is he going to be good enough to be a special teamer? And to me, I think so. I think that it's going to be hard for them to want to move on because, yes, you can save $2 million by cutting him. So will he be a cap casualty? He could if Ian Wheeler steps up and becomes that special teams player. But it really does seem like the Bears like Travis Homer because the offense knows him, the special teams knows him, and ultimately, are you a good player for this team? I guarantee you the Bears look at Travis Homer, and even though he did nothing offensively, still go, hey, you got to come in on the third phase. You got to come in on special teams. So Travis Homer, I do think he's on the bubble, but I think that he's not like a surefire, hey, cut him and go with someone else just because of the experience that he does bring. So now it's the moment a lot of you have been waiting for, Ian Wheeler. I want to talk about him because we've talked a little bit before. Running back out of Howard, 5'11", 205, and 22 years old this year. Cap hit $797,000 because he is undrafted. One thing that I want to bring up, also too, if you ever see an undrafted rookie free agent with the 3-year deal, it doesn't mean that the Bears are set on them being here for 3 seasons. It's kind of just what you do with undrafted free agents. You sign them to 3-year deals rather than those simple 1-year deals. So now let's talk about his production and what is he? Because when I was watching the tape, there's not a lot of tape. And it's not because trying to acquire Howard film. It's because he really hasn't played all that much. And you look at it, 361 rushing yards last season, 6.8 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 115 receiving yards, a PFF grade of 84.9. This guy was good when he was out there. He had an elusive rating of 238.2. That's insane. The average player, like let's just say Cole Kmet, right? Tight end, is like 40, 45, right? A typical one is less than 100. A really good one is over 100. He's at 238. This guy is elusive. This guy can break tackles. This guy he's a shifty runner. But when I watched him, kind of that one cut kind of pounds the whole downhill running style. And the thing that I think is going to be his bread and butter, I don't think he's going to get any snaps at running back. I think he's going to be a fun player to watch in the preseason. But it's that special teams. Can he beat Travis Homer to be the 4th running back on this squad? But also, even more important, can he just be a practice squad player? Does he look like an NFL player? I really like this signing because you see the explosiveness on tape. You see this craziness, this incredible speed. So to me, why not give this guy a shot? Why not see what he's capable of, especially, like we said, about the whole kick return rule and wanting to have players out there. So Ian Wheeler, to me, I really like this signing. And do I think he's going to make the active roster? Maybe not. I doubt it. But if he does, man, we're going to be pumped. He's definitely someone to watch out for because just a fast, elusive type of a player. And the biggest question is that production. So bravo. I really like this. I see Outspoken Inc. saying Wheeler is a dog. Also, another thing too, just a really well-spoken person. You see some interviews with him talking, I think he went to school for like philosophy, like just a smart guy, good head on his shoulders. So really rooting for him. Also, he's got dreads. Anytime you got a running back with dreads, like any player with dreads, you just got to root for him just because it looks so cool flying out of the helmet. Like, look at this picture. Like, look how cool that dude looks. So I'm rooting for Ian Wheeler. I'm pumped, and I hope that he makes the team. But ultimately, we'll see. So if he's a super cool storyline, you got to love it. So that is the running backs. So now we got to talk a little over and unders. Because with the over-unders, let me go over to this. These are numbers from our running backs. So last season, we ran for 1,493 rushing yards with just our running backs. So I ask you, watching right now on YouTube, over or under for the running backs with 1,400 total rushing yards between all these running backs? Because to me, I think that this is pretty easy. I think that this is over. I think that, this isn't just DeAndre Swift. This is just as a whole. I think that they're going to be trying to run the ball a lot more. They're trying to establish the run. They're trying to just take some of that pressure off of Caleb Williams. And I think because you no longer have Justin Fields running the football all the time, you're going to see more carries from the running backs. And that's why I think the rushing yards per game as 1,400 is actually going to be over. So I'm going with the over, first over of these profiles. And then second, yards per carry, which I was a little surprised at, 4.25. And the big reason why the running backs yards per carry at 4.25 was so low was actually because of Diont Foreman. And to me, that's where I'm actually going over again. So we're going two overs. I think 4.25 is a little low from what I'm going to expect out of these running backs, especially with Foreman not being here. I think Swift is going to get around that. Herbert is pretty much guaranteed to be getting more than that just because that's how he is. And I did talk about this on the Pessimism show. I do think that it's not going to look as well oiled as we saw last season without Justin Fields and without Luke Getsy's offense, just new offense and new running backs. I don't think it's going to look as well oiled, but I do think that they're going to beat their yards per carry from last season. As weird as that sounds. Next, top 10 fantasy football running backs. Will we have a top 10 fantasy football running back? And to me, I want to initially say no. I want to say that we don't. But I do think it's a valid talking point. Is Swift actually going to be the true running back and actually be the number one guy? And I think that warrants a conversation. A top 10, I think that that's pushing it a little bit. But I do think that he's going to be solid. I think he's going to be better than any other running back that we've had back here, where anytime that you would go, okay, do you draft Kahlil Herbert? Probably not, because we have a million other running backs. I think he's draftable, and I think he's going to be top 32. But top 10, I think that's pushing it a little bit too much. And last but not least, 1,000-yard rushers at that 0.5. So do we think we're going to have a 1,000-yard rusher? Kind of curious what everyone else thinks. This, I hesitate, and I think Swift is probably going to be around that 1,000-yard mark, but maybe he doesn't beat it. Maybe I think he's like a hair under. I think him getting 900 yards, I think, is a good goal. 1,000 yards, there's not a lot of 1,000-yard running backs nowadays. It's very rare. You do have to be a true bell cow in order to get those 1,000 yards, which I don't think that they're going to do necessarily with him, unless they traded Kahlil Herbert. Then I do think you're going to have a true 1-2 punch with Roschon and Swift. So I'm actually going to go under. I don't think we get a 1,000 yard rusher. So like I said, let me know in the comments. What do you think? I go over, under with these ones, but that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. But now we got to talk about, did we get better at the position? And look at Flus up there in the corner smiling, all excited to see what I have to say about did we get better at the running back position. And this is another easy one. Another no-brainer. When you look at this, Kahlil Herbert was our starter. Now he's our backup. It's as simple as that. Roschon is still here. Travis Homer still here. And, fifth running backs you don't really see out there. So all we did was replace Diont Foreman with DeAndre Swift. And like I said, I liked the Foreman signing just because, hey, you got him for $3 million and hey, he's just a backup. And I've been critical of the DeAndre Swift signing. Swift is a better running back though than Diont Foreman. Very simple. We got better. So 3 for 3 of getting better. And I don't think it's like a big stretch. We really haven't been we really haven't been sitting down and going, now, did we actually get better? Did we actually truly move forward? Yeah, so far, 3 for 3. And that's why it's so exciting to be a Bears fan. So if you're watching still out there, make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. And also, you can download the podcast. Everywhere that you get your podcast, just search for Unbearable Sports and you can listen to us on the go. I have a bunch of shows coming out because we have all the roster profiles done. So make sure to download the PDF. It's free. Feel free to also buy me a beer, buy me a coffee, whatever you want. There's just a link out there if you want to just donate some money to the show. Helps out tremendously. But guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. And with that, I'm excited for training camp. It's getting so close. An Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you know that she